The youth will have access to certain tenders valued at about 50 million.
Memory Mbai joined PwC in January of 2020, and she has over 9 years experience. She's worked at other big four audit firms. So Miguel specializes in the things that must be talked about today. She specializes in VAT consulting, VAT compliance engagement. She has gained experience operating across just various industries. That's mining, that's financial services, it's construction, it's retail, it's oil and gas. Yeah. So she really is in the thick of things. And today she's joining us in studio wearing her tax hats, of course, giving us the PwC budget analysis for 2022. Welcome to the show, Memory.
Yes, good morning to you and to our audience.
Oh, has it been a year already?
Yes, I can't believe it has been a year, but I'm very glad to be back. Thank you.
So let's jump straight into it. The key highlights from the national budget speech. Oof, what can we take away?
No, thank you for that. So the Honourable Minister presented his budget under the theme, Reimagining a Better Future for the Youth. And can I just say, wow, I'm not sure whether I was the only one who felt that, but it was quite heartwarming to hear that. Yeah. And you could see this theme follow through in the incentives that he announced, basically just to try and create access to opportunities for our youth. Some of the key highlights that stood out for us was the access to business loan funding at DBN of about 72 million, and a further 10 million through the Environmental Investment Fund. Furthermore, also, the youth will have access to certain tenders valued at about 50 million. Very, very important for us is the access to training at various VTCs, especially in the area of green hydrogen. This is something that's very topical currently in the market, so it was very good to hear those insights. One that I think most sports fanatics, if I can call it, will be very pleased about. Yes, was the 50 million that was allocated to upgrade the Independence Stadium.
Because we know that what happened during the year.
So with the recent success that we saw at the Olympics, I think the minister echoed it correctly when he said that it's time to restore Namibia's pride. And it's also very important for us to start partaking in hosting some of these international events.
You know what I mean? Let them come here for a change. We show them how hospitable Namibians can actually be.
Exactly. And what our athletes can do on the home ground.
And also we have beautiful stadiums, also us, man.
Indeed.
No, with that, are there any new tax proposals or changes in terms of tax rates that we need to know about?
So funny enough, not.
Okay.
But we do echo the sentiments from the Honourable Minister where he said that he doesn't quite want to harm the economy at present. And what is important to note is that he did mention that the previously announced legislation that we spoke about last year. So this is, for example, zero rating the sanitary pads for our girl child. The increase of the contributions to retirement funds, or any the proposed introduction to introduce VAT on management fees of asset managers. So all of that has been put on hold, but it is undergoing stakeholder engagement. So that is very important for us to ensure the effective administration and implementation of these legislations. But on another positive note, we are happy to hear that the incentive program has been extended for a further 12 months. So remember last year we touched on the fact that if you register on ITIS, you submit all your returns online, you will be eligible to apply for 100% waiver on your penalties and up to 75% with the last incentive program on your interest. Now, what is important to highlight to our listeners is that the legislation currently doesn't make provision for interest waivers. So it's really our minister going out of the way to grant us these incentives. So it's very important that we comply with our taxes. So do register, submit, especially for our youth now that you have an opportunity to access these tenders.
True. Especially in terms of things going online now, it makes your life even easier.
Correct.
Right now, what is our outlook in terms of revenue expenditure and the budget deficit?
So our revenue outlook is fairly stable at around 59 billion. This also speaks to the fact that we are seeing some recovery post-pandemic and businesses are starting to open up. But however, our expenditure continues to be on the climb.
Hi, Miguel, I didn't want to hear that part, but okay, yes. How do we now fare?
Yes, so that stands at about 70 billion and it is continuing to rise, as I previously mentioned. And you can see this in the budget deficit of about 5.6%. Now, to give some context to the allocation of the expenditure budget, at the top is the Ministry of Finance of about 14 billion. But what I want to highlight to our listeners is that included in that 14 billion is 9 billion to finance our foreign debt. So if you remove that aside, then the Ministry of Finance is not at the top. And then at the top of the allocations continues to be your Ministry of Education, your Ministry of Health, Ministry of Defense.
No, because that's the one thing that we always want. But why? But why is it like this? So it makes complete sense.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you'd like to conclude with?
I think for me personally, the minister spoke to me and it reiterated the saying of, it takes a village to raise a child. So it was very pleasant seeing him dedicate this year's budget speech to really reimagining a better future for our youth. And I would like to applaud him for that. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you, Memory, for dissecting that for us. We really do appreciate it. That was Memory Mbai from PwC. They were giving us the budget analysis for 2022.
Bravo Namibia was proudly brought to you by FlyNamibia. Let's fly Namibia.
The nation's favorite.